Right, it's Thursday, April the 21st, 2022, and as you can see I'm down in Sevenoaks, about to undertake another 11.5 miles circular of this town. It's a cracking day, not a cloud in the sky, around 18-19 degrees again, bit of a breeze mind you, so there might be some wind interference. And this is a walk I last did in December 2009, so it's even longer ago than the last walk I did. So it's about 12 noon, should be done by 6 at the very outside. I'm planning on doing the extended version of this walk, which didn't appear on my original mobile phone video because pubs have closed, and the lunchtime pub is now in Shipbourne, next to the church, where of course I'll be taking mine. So let's press on. Away from the station, about 100 yards on, we're now walking up St Giles Road, passing a Victorian postbox. Passing the War Memorial prior to following the edge of the cricket pitch ahead. Little information panel here, which has recently been installed by the looks of it, about the King Oak. They were devastated by a storm, and this is the only one remaining. The Great Storm of '87, which I remember well, living in a tower block in Bow, 10th floor. Entering the Knoll estate through the hole in the brick wall. Not much change thus far, and I do recall this, unlike the walk last week when I didn't remember much. Onward journey's clear now. Passing a small gatehouse there on the right, and as you can hear there is a bit of a breeze, as I mentioned earlier, east-northeast today, so perfect walking weather really. Keeps the temperature down, and we've got a UV factor of 5 today, so top up on the old Vit D. First sightings of deer today, of which there are many in this park, or there were. Not seeing so many today. And there's those damn parakeets in the background. I remember hearing them 13 years back. Were quite a novelty back then, but they're not now. Everywhere. Even getting up as far north as my way. Bit of playful rutting going on there. Looking back whence I've come. So I'm leaving the walk notes now to follow the GPX track, and we leave the road to follow a clear path really. It's not signposted, but it's well trodden along the woodland edge here. Now joining this avenue of trees, although walking away from them, called Duchess Walk. Our onward journey's in the opposite direction, as I said. Walking through a golf course apparently. It's a tinderbox up here at the moment. one erroneous cigarette or match, and this is all up. About 450 feet up here, as we're about to enter Redlands Wood on the map. Today's heights range from around 200 odd to 650 feet, so a decent workout. And now I'm outside the park. On my left here you get a better impression of the height. North Downs there in the background. Wonderful, eh? Still a bit of jet noise above me. Not quite as bad as last week, interestingly, because obviously Sevenoaks is a bit nearer Gatwick, I would have thought. And this is very pleasant, walking through fresh leaf growth, giving off wonderful chi, very beneficial during these COVID times. And walking on greensand, which is not wet today, far from it. And I'm hoping to catch some good spreads of bluebells, apparently. They don't appear to be as advanced as the ones up my way, interestingly, and obviously I'm further north. However, they are there. It may be dry today, but as you can see, it can be very muddy and rutted in here during the winter months, no doubt. And that was when I last did it, December. But I believe that day it was frosty and cold, so I didn't have a problem either back then. Passing through the hamlet of Godden Green and just passing the Buck's Head on my right here, hence all the cars. Shipbourne pub. Take a left towards Signet Hospital. Now interestingly, you've got two options here. We're taking the left one, the bridle way, as opposed to the footpath up yonder. Yep, glad you agree. Black cat behind me. And a blue tip. We're actually about 500 foot up here now. Yeah, some lovely Weald views here. Seem to remember it was misty and foggy last time I did this. Complete contrast to today. Walking alongside Great Rogers Wood now on the map. That's a very strong voiced great tit in the background. Amazing. Don't recall that being there when I did this walk last. Very pleasant section this. Another couple of oast conversions. And interestingly, I was reading the other day that these oasts are called drying houses in other parts of the country, including Surrey, which isn't too far distant. We're now entering Stone Street, which is where the lunchtime pubs used to be, but apparently they're now victims of COVID. Very decent vista outside Stone Street here, with a skylark in the background. And it was interesting to note that Lark Ascending by Wraiththorne Williams was once again top of the Hall of Fame on Classic FM this week, or this year, 2022. Great piece of music, but obviously the bird does it better. Wonderful. Now we're very close to Broadhoath here on the map, and I'm walking down an avenue of fruit trees, and per the map these fields either side of me should be orchard, but they're not. So not sure what's happened there, or if these fruit trees are remnants of what was going to be an orchard. It's a big loss if the orchard's been lost, because as I keep saying, they are fantastic for wildlife. Chaffinch in classic position. Song is not that dissimilar to the great tit, but different enough. And they tend to not sing at the same time, really. That great tit I heard earlier was unusual. They've usually phased out by now, and the chaffinches are just coming in. So as you can read here, last time I did this walk there wasn't any lavender. 2013 this was started, but there certainly is now. Not dissimilar to the lavender field in Ickleford, my old residence. Passing some fruit trees now, though what type they are I do not know. Possibly, they might be nuts actually. Let me have a closer look. Yes, they are indeed. They're very much like cob nuts. And I have memories of trying to gather these when I was about 24 or 5. Not a job you want to be doing, I can tell you, when you're paid by the bag load. Very tough job. Now about to enter Broadhoath Wood, per the map. And once again the bluebells are out. But I wouldn't say they're yet in their apogee. Haven't seen any ransoms yet either. And as you might tell by the fencing there now, we're in the grounds of Ightham Mote, M-O-T-E, National Trust property. So hopefully things are done properly in here in terms of maintenance. Past a number of seats on my right as I descend past this babbling brook. Got some hoppers huts here, early self-catering holiday accommodation. So this would have been where the hop pickers stayed. And they were a motley crew as well. EastEnders, Romanies, everybody coming out to pick the hops. And it was a holiday as well, get away from the smoke and sulphur of the cities. Wonderful. So opposite this lovely property here, we take a right, follow the lane. So we're now at Ightham Mote, I-G-H-T-H-A-M, M-O-T-E. And as you can hear, spot on 2 o'clock. And on previous occasions I have had my lunch here. In fact I did when I did this walk 13 years back. However, times have changed, as has this walk, So I've got to press on to Shipborne and encounter new terrain, I believe. Soon find out. I might have done some aspect of the walk before. Now this bridle path here on my right towards those oasts is the original way back to Sevenoaks. As you can see, they're doing some work here, gardeners and rangers compound. But my onward journey today is continuing along the lane past that very small post box I recall. There, and that's a GR, George Rains. So here we go, new terrain today, I do believe. That's the exit from Ightham Mote. So just past the entrance to Ightham Mote, come off the lane, over this stile. Once again, a stile in Kent, Mr. Rustling. Get cracking, get some gates in position. And as you can see, we're now on the Greensand Way. As opposed to the Greensand Ridge path that I'm familiar with in Bedfordshire. Greensand Ridge Walk, actually. See, clearly, here we are, almost May. No cows in sight. And this is interesting, as I commented last week. I wonder if it's a sign of the times now that cows have gone on the back burner because they're too expensive to maintain and tastes have changed. And as I said last week, I'm not complaining. Nasty beasts, or can be. So, let's make use of these fields, get some sheep in them, plenty of things you can do with their wool in terms of insulation, etc. Now this woodland on my left has the interesting name of Fattin Pen, indicative of what it used to be used for perhaps. Now because it's mainly Scots pine over that side, not a bluebell in sight. Very different to the right hand side, which also has Scots pine in it, but I think they're newer trees and the bluebells have got more light on this side, and it's a reflection of what the native woodland used to be prior, so they've survived. Wonderful aroma here. The old chiff chaff in the background. What a lovely afternoon it is. Save that jet noise. Could do with that being cut out again, as it has been 2 years back. Nice little extension this, thus far. Now come into more open terrain around Shipborne. So here we are, 2:20, Shipborne Church. My lunchtime stop today. First time I've come across that kind of message. Yeah. Not many seats in this churchyard either, I do recall. From looking at the photos anyway. If memory serves, this was the only one I could see. So I'll grab it. And that vista is probably the reason why it's placed where it is. Pretty good, eh? So we've got a pilot to thank for this seat. No indication of when he died or how old he was. But Don Walker, thanks for the seat. Lunch is about to be served. Okay, 3 o'clock, lunch has been had. Let's have a look inside, because the church is open. There you go. Someone's in there by the looks of it. Very interesting. Lovely daffodils. So the Chaser Inn pub, the lunchtime stop, is right next door to the church, as you can see here. So let's press on. Wind's picking up, as you can see, and no doubt here. So from the church, our onward journey now is the footpath straight opposite, along this hedge. So the church was about 2¼ hours into the walk for me, and 6.25 miles in, so about halfway. Pretty decent vista, eh? Parting shot of St Giles's. The wind is certainly gusting. The main drag is straight ahead, but we take a left here, funnily enough, where there's fallen trees. Now, if I had access to Pathwatch, I'd report that, but unfortunately, as I said last week, it's a waste of time reporting on it at the moment. I have referred it to my MP now to take up with DEFRA, see what they can create, see if we can come up with an alternative. And of course, what 3 words are still in contention? Wonderful. Bluebells everywhere at the moment. Fantastic. We've even got conifers down here. Unusual, that. It's quite amazing how cracked the soil is at the moment. I mean, it's only April when it should be a a lot damper than it has been. So we might have a problem soon if we don't get enough water. Looking back at St Giles's, probably for the final time now. Whoa, the wind. Ascending Wilmot Hill, and again, no cattle. Decent view back as we rejoin the path up at Ightham Mote. Stood just outside a house behind me. They've got a great view. No doubt a National Trust property. Wilton Cottage. Now, I don't know when this is dated, but the remaining 98 years of the lease are up for sale, which is quite a short lease actually, so be careful of that. But there you go. Anyone fancy that property? Wonderful view. Stroke location. Looks like they've got their own spring as well. See, this is exactly why we need a handheld tool like Pathwatch. Because of the extra numbers in the countryside these days, there is extra erosion and we need to report it. And it's a lot easier if you've got a handheld. Do it at the spur of the moment. Now, if I remember correctly, we're about to hit the pièce de la résistance of this walk with some cracking views on my left. And I have done this previously, I recall now, ankle deep in mud. So hopefully today I'll be able to enjoy it that little bit more. Now there's a little bench here, and this is the reason why. What a vista, eh? This definitely brings to mind and did those feet in ancient time walk upon England's pastures green, or whatever it is. Jerusalem. Fantastic, particularly on a day like today. A little bit hazy in the distance, so we haven't got 10 out of 10, but we're not far from it. Certainly compared to the last time I did this. Wonderful. Now we're starting to encounter the wild garlic. Round about base of Shingle Hill. Leaving Ightham Mote. And the ransoms here is wonderful. Hasn't quite got an aroma yet, thankfully. Another wonderful vista. And some cattle. Some of those rare things called cattle over there. Good, let it stay that way. Yeah, great spotted woodpecker drumming in the background. Still on the Greensand Way, notice, which might explain why we're encountering a very rare kissing gate here. thus far it's been mainly styles, which is a bit antiquated to be honest. So that hasn't changed in 13 years. Opposite Wilton Cottage here. Continue on the Greensand Way, up on my left. Now on Rooks Hill, and this is wonderful. Look at this weather, eh? Really is beautiful. Lots of fallen timber around following recent storms. They're slowly working on it. Now entering the interestingly named One Tree Hill, which per the walk notes is meant to be particularly good for bluebells. Let's see. Lovely apple orchard on my right. So classic Kentish scenery here. Orchards on the one side and lovely woodlands on the other that I'm walking through. Love it. As I said in the past, the Weald scenery is right up there amongst my favourites. And a poster there telling us about lambing season from White Rocks Farm. And I saw on the news the other night 100 young lambs were dumped in some farmer's field, all been slashed across the throat. Now what sort of person does that? Shocking. I've a good idea who did it, but I'm not going to say on camera. It's absolutely shocking. Another couple of seats here. One made of granite there. And here's the reason why. Trust have opened up the vista, cut back some trees, and there's an outstanding view. Wonderful. Looks to me like you're looking down to the South Downs there, in the very distance. Can't think what else it is. Twixt here and the Weald, across the Weald. Wonderful, eh? Meantime, there's a war going on in Ukraine. Aren't we blessed? Although we won't be if it continues much longer and we don't get any grain. This is the patchwork of fields that you see when you land at Gatwick. Though to be honest, I'd rather be looking at it from up here. Wonderful. And just to cap it all, there's an ouse down there. And a lovely black cap in the background somewhere. There you go. At least I think it's a black cap. As I say, I often confuse it with the white throat. But that sounds a bit too melodious to be a white throat. Wonderful. And the beauty of it is this afternoon there's no one else up here bar me. Come here over a weekend, it'd probably be packed because there's a car park nearby, hence the erosion. Just at the base of Carter's Hill now, and look at this, absolutely beautiful. Bluebells everywhere, has been all day, fantastic. Although I still think probably another week or two to catch the best of them. Beautiful, eh? Quite a narrow section of the Greensand Way now. Another decent vista on my left. Jet noise from Gatwick is a bit more obvious here. Again, stood at the base of Carter's Hill on the map. So that's a recent addition, and that's donated by the Ramblers. Very little done by Kent County Council. Strange, isn't it? Now in Redlands Wood, per the map, not a bluebell in sight. It's a fussy little creature, isn't it? Doesn't like certain soils and tree types. There's one or two little smatterings, but yeah, nothing like anything that we've seen thus far. Now re-entering the deer park at Knoll. So funnily enough, this section in Knoll Park is very familiar. Only seems like yesterday I did this. I may well have done on another walk, I can't recall. But we come away from the lane there, or the drive, following a path that I couldn't find last time, I recall. But now with GPX tracking you can, it's a lot easier. And it runs parallel to the road. Next door to the golf club again. Parakeets are quite quiet at the moment, but I'm sure we'll hear them. Just walking down past Knole, the house, and as you can see, bang on 5. And it's certainly a lot quieter in terms of parakeets this time. Maybe they've moved on. Left with Brexit, I don't know. So there you can see there's the Brewhouse Cafe. Last order's 4:30. Information panel here about Knoll. Google that if you wish to learn more. And there is the house. Very decent looking place, eh? Obviously it's the Queen's birthday today, so the flag's up. Many happy returns, Your Majesty, for your 96th. What an age, eh? A passing shot of the deer at Knoll. As we leave the park now to enter the residential area of Sevenoaks. And a great tit in the background there. Now walking through residential Sevenoaks, and I'm pretty sure this M&S is brand new. Certainly wasn't here last time. Okay, back at Sevenoaks. 12 mile I made that, and 4 hours 53 later, and that was a very good walk. Exceptional. Remembered a lot of it, unlike last week, but highly recommended that one. Could be a different story on a wet, muddy day, but today was perfect, glorious. So that's swcwalk21 completed once again. But as a footnote, one thing that hasn't changed in 13 years is the reliability of the transport. There are problems on the Thameslink service from London Bridge, meaning a train that I should be interlinking with shortly isn't running. So hey ho, nothing changes, eh? and yet the drivers and staff are still looking for massive pay increases. They need to get real. Until the next time.